It was supposed to be just another morning in the city. A soft rain washed the streets clean, but prejudice still stained some hearts. A black woman named Maya walked confidently toward her car, dressed in a simple suit, her eyes calm yet determined. She didn't know that within minutes, her grace would be tested in the most humiliating way. 2 police officers stopped her without reason, suspicion clouding their judgment. "Where are you going in such a hurry?" one asked, his tone sharp. Maya answered politely, but her calmness only seemed to irritate them more. They claimed her car matched the description of a stolen vehicle. People started to watch as the officers handcuffed her despite her protests. Maya didn't resist, she knew silence sometimes spoke louder than defense. Yet deep inside, she felt the sting of being judged not by her actions, but by her skin. As the car door shut behind her, she whispered to herself, "They'll know soon enough who I am." The police station smelled of old coffee and arrogance. Maya sat quietly as the officers laughed among themselves, calling her another liar. They didn't run her ID, they didn't ask for details. Their minds were already made up. One officer leaned against the desk and said, "You people think you're above the law." Maya raised her head slowly, her eyes steady. "No," she said softly, "I believe in the law more than you ever could." But her words fell on deaf ears. Hours passed before anyone even bothered to check her name in the system. When they finally did, the laughter stopped. Their eyes widened as the computer screen revealed her full title, Judge Maya Jefferson, appointed just 6 months ago to the city Supreme Court. The room fell silent. The same officers who mocked her stood frozen, realizing they had arrested the very person sworn to uphold the justice they had just violated. The next morning, whispers spread through the station like wildfire. The chief called the 2 officers into his office, his face pale. "Do you understand what you've done?" he growled. They tried to defend themselves, claiming they were just doing their job. But even he knew the truth, it wasn't a mistake, it was bias. Maya, meanwhile, had already returned to work. Her posture was calm, her dignity intact, though the pain still lingered behind her composed expression. The courtroom was quiet when she entered for her next case. But destiny had something poetic in store. The 2 same officers were scheduled to appear before her for an internal misconduct hearing. As she took her seat on the bench, gavel in hand, their eyes met. Recognition flashed. Shock replaced arrogance. They had once seen her as powerless. Now, she sat above them, cloaked not in revenge, but in justice. The air in the courtroom felt heavy. Every click of the judge's pen echoed through the silence. The officers avoided her gaze, their confidence replaced by regret. Maya spoke slowly, each word carrying both authority and restraint. "You accused me of theft. You denied me my dignity. Tell me, officers, what law gives you that right?" They stumbled through their answers, blaming procedure, misunderstanding, anything but themselves. Maya listened patiently, not as a victim, but as a teacher. "The badge on your chest," she said softly, "means nothing if your heart carries hate." The room was still. Even the court reporter paused. Her words weren't shouted, but they hit harder than any scream could. For the first time, the officers realized what it meant to face justice not through punishment, but through truth. Outside the courtroom, news had already spread. Reporters waited by the steps, their cameras ready to capture the story of irony and redemption. But Maya refused interviews. She didn't want fame, she wanted change. Later that night, she sat in her office, staring at the reflection of her gavel. "Power means nothing if used for revenge," she whispered. She wrote a letter to the police department, not demanding punishment, but education. She proposed workshops on bias, community connection, and respect. Her colleagues questioned her leniency, but she knew that changing hearts was more powerful than ruining careers. Justice, she believed, wasn't about humiliation, it was about transformation. Weeks passed, and the 2 officers attended the workshops reluctantly at first. But as they listened to real stories of discrimination and pain, something began to shift. One of them, Officer Miller, stayed after a session and said quietly, "Judge Jefferson, I never realized how blind I was." Maya nodded gently. Awareness is the first step toward justice. Slowly, the walls they had built in their minds began to crumble. They started volunteering in community centers, helping underprivileged kids. The same hands that once enforced fear now worked to restore faith. And though Maya never sought gratitude, they both sent her a letter one day. It simply read, "Thank you for showing us what justice truly means." Months later, Maya stood outside the courthouse as the sun dipped below the horizon. The city around her seemed calmer, kinder. She thought back to that morning, the cuffs, the humiliation, the silence. Yet now, it all felt distant, like a test she had passed not through anger, but grace. A young girl walking by recognized her from the news and said, "You're the judge who forgave them, right?" Maya smiled softly. "I didn't forgive them," she said. "I helped them see." The girl nodded, understanding more than words could explain. The camera could fade there, on Maya's calm, wise smile, because true justice isn't about winning. It's about healing hearts in a world that desperately needs it.